Are you looking for a way to help your brick-and-mortar business drive more traffic and increase your sales? Look no further than the Receipt Paper Podcast. In this podcast, Joanne and Kyle provide their sage advice on how to make your brick-and-mortar store the hottest spot in town. Whether you're just launching a new business or trying to grow an existing one, these informative episodes will leave you inspired. In each episode, Joanne and Kyle take on a different topic related to running a successful business. They offer practical tips based on their own experience as owners of multiple brick-and-mortar locations. So whatever challenges you're facing, they have actionable advice for you. From finding a location and executing your build-out, to merchandising and customer experience, to sales and marketing, Joanne and Kyle have you covered. With helpful advice from these experienced entrepreneurs, you are sure to learn how to increase your sales and have your business running out of receipt paper in no time. Let's dive right in.
Well, hey there, friends. Welcome back to the Receipt Paper Podcast. We are back this week with another phenomenal guest speaker that I just know you're going to love. This week, we have Pete Mohr on with us, and I learned so much from him in our conversation. I'm really excited for you to listen in. Pete Mohr actually has retail brick and mortar experience himself. He opened multiple physical shoe retail locations many years ago, and he still has two of those locations today. We dive into a little bit of that in this episode, but today he is actually a coach, and he helps people create better systems to manage their businesses and their lives so they're not operating their businesses and confined to their business day after day, but they can really take that true ownership position in their business. I think you're really going to enjoy this episode, so I'm so excited for you to tune in. Before we dive into our interview, I did want to remind you that this episode is sponsored by Tap Mango. Tap Mango is our preferred loyalty and rewards platform. They bring us in so many customers and so much return business. Highly recommend you check them out. You can find out more information about Tap Mango and get the access to their free demo at the show notes. You can find that at masterbrickandmortar.com/13. All right. I hope you enjoy this episode, friends. Well, welcome, Pete, to this Receipt Paper Podcast. So excited to have you on today.
I'm excited to be here. I love talking retail.
Yes. Yes, I've been digging into your background and expertise, and I think you are going to be perfect for our listeners today. So why don't we just kick off with you sharing a little bit about yourself with us?
Sure. Well, I am a retailer. We have a couple of shoe stores in just about an hour or so outside of Toronto here in Canada, and they're called Shoetopia. So we sell, what do you think? Shoes. Yeah, we're a shoe store and shoe stores, and we have an online presence there as well. But these days, I actually spend most of my time talking to great people like you, Joanne, and talking to my clients because I am a coach and I help. What my sort of tagline around this is, I help turn your frustrations into freedoms, because as business owners, we tend to get into business because, we have this dream of a better life, and that dream of a better life, whatever it is, it's uniquely yours and your reason for getting into business. Because I know most of the people listening here are retailers and probably business owners. And you're thinking when you started your store, you bought your first store, you're thinking, I think I could live this way. And what I find is a lot of the people aren't living that way. And from that perspective, they had these dreams. I want to take vacations. I want to do this stuff. I want to, call my own shots. Maybe they're calling their own shots, but some of the other freedoms that they were looking for maybe aren't present. And a lot of the people that I work with, they have more money because they've done well most times. By the time they come to me, they've done well. And now they're kind of looking and saying, I think there's more to it than just opening and closing the store, working 70 hours a week, doing the next purchase order, hiring the next staff person, whatever the case is. And they're saying, you know what, I still love retail. I just don't want to do it all.
Right.
And that's where I spend most of my time with Simplifying Entrepreneurship, is whether it's retail. I work with a lot of different industries, but because I'm a retailer, retail is sort of, near and dear to my heart. So I do work with a lot of retailers from that side of things, but really it's usually around crafting the business. So here's another sort of line that I use a lot, but I think it's pertinent. Your business should support what you want out of life instead of what your business wants out of you.
Yes, I can feel that.
And if you aren't living, if your business isn't propping up what you want out of life, then this conversation, and I'm sure what you do too, Joanne, is going to help. I mean, this is what we do, right? As helping people through these sort of things, so that they can have the dream of owning their own business and have their business support what they want out of their life. Because that's the most important piece.
Right.
Are you living life the way you want to live life?
Yes. I can absolutely relate. I know when we first opened, it was big dreams and so exciting. And we got there and, it was doing well. We were making money, not losing money. It was a miracle. But then it was like, okay, now we're trapped at this store 7 days a week. And, what are we doing with our lives? Like, is this really what we committed a 5-year lease to, and yes, absolutely. So I'm excited to dig into your expertise today. So tell us a little bit more about your retail stores, Shootopia.
Yeah. Well,
how did you get into that? Yeah. How long have you been in there?
Yeah, it's a crazy long story. And it won't take too much time, but I mean, I've been in business since 1994. I started when I was 23, and I had a bathroom renovation company, and I bought a franchise, and I had another franchise, which was a cleaning franchise. And, after 12, 13 years of doing that, I decided that I wanted to exit both of those, which I did. And I became a business broker, helping people buy and sell businesses. I also help my clients, set their businesses up for sale, because it's just part of the process, right? And while I was doing that, I pitched one of the stores that I currently own right now, to somebody, and he's like, "There's no way in heck I'm going to get my family to move to some little small town in southwestern Ontario to take over and sell shoes." And I'm like, maybe I will. So we did, and we moved the family, and we bought the business, and that was in 2010. And here, as we record, 13 years in now, and we still own that store. It's still our number one store. We've had a couple of other stores. We bought another store, moved it, and then closed it. And we opened another store, which still does really well today. And so that's sort of my journey into retail. I was in a service-based business for many years, then kind of got into retail. So very different structures and very different sort of ways of doing it. I went from where all of my people were out on the road every day in different trucks to where we're all in like one big room in retail. Right. So it's a different way of managing. It's a different way of being. It's a different way of communication and all of those things. I'm not saying one is better than the other. They just are. And from that perspective, I love retail. I love, being a part of a community. Retailers are helping people every day turn their pains into gains, right? By whatever it is they sell, and giving them joy. And, I think we try to set up Shootopia. I create lots of models, Joanne. And one of the models that I create and help my clients create is called the Heart of Shootopia. And because I think our listener here, because not every day I'm talking to retailers, but I think the retail audience will get this. So at the very heart of Shootopia, we sell shoes, right? And what does that mean? Well, our promise to our clients is to help them look great and feel fantastic, right? So if you go into the shoe store and you find something that helps you look great and feel fantastic, that's a win, right? Because usually you kind of come out saying, well, I got to find something for the ball. I know it's not going to look real great, or I know it's going to look great, but it's not going to feel real great. And the other side is, I want something that makes me feel good all day long, but it's probably not going to look so great. So if I can combine those and give you something that looks great and makes you feel fantastic, that's good. So how do we do that? Well, I've narrowed it down to 9 letters. And those letters are OOH, AAH, and AHA, AHA, right? So ooh, ah, and aha. So when you look in the mirror, you got your shoes on, you look in the mirror and you close your, or you look in the mirror and you're going, oh man, I look pretty good, right? And you close your eyes and you're kind of seeing how they feel. And you go, those feel fantastic. Look good, feel fantastic. So if I can deliver look good, feel fantastic through my sales process, getting them in front of the mirror, doing all the stuff that is in behind, then you have the aha moment. The aha moment is I finally found the perfect pair. I go to the till, and no matter what the price is, it's the perfect pair. The price isn't the big thing now because I found exactly what I'm looking for. And I'm happily paying. And when I walk out, I look back at the Shoetopia sign and I'm like, Shoetopia, that's my favorite shoe store. They treat me right. They treat me like family. I always find what I'm looking for. I feel like I'm getting good value. I'm going to come back next time.
Love it.
And so what I try and do with my clients is set up stuff that you can easily explain, like I just did. What do we try to deliver? We try to deliver ooh, ah, and aha every time. What does that mean? Here's the steps, right? Here's the sales procedure. Here's the, all of the, what I call the process, Yeah. And, one of the things I've been thinking a lot about, and we kind of talked a wee bit before we hopped on here, is this concept of mastering your CPA as a business owner. And from that side, it's not your CPA like your chartered professional accountancy, which I do think you should know your numbers, but not maybe to that level.
I need one of those.
Yeah, and I have an MBA and stuff like that, and I am good with numbers, but I don't love it. So this side of things is your communication, your process, and your accountability. And I think whether you're a retailer or anybody in business, as a leader of your business, if you're forever looking for things to improve your communication, improve your process, and improve your accountability, it is the pathway for you to have more freedom in your business and for you to have a better business and ultimately have a better life.
I love it. So how did you come up with this CPA? Tell me that.
I come up with frameworks kind of all the time. I just love doing that stuff.
I love it.
I journal in the morning. I come up with a one-page planner for business owners that I use, and anybody can get that if they would like, and I'll just give you the link. It's simplifyingentreprenneurship.com/planner, nice and easy, and it's basically just a downloadable PDF that you can use to plan your days and plan your life. And so I religiously kind of get up and do that and work through these things and think about different things so that I can, because Joanne, the reality of it is I need these frameworks to get through my own life and my own business.
Yeah.
So when I find something that works, I want to share it with everybody. It's like, if this works for me, then maybe it'll work for you too. And, because I'm trying, the name of my business, Simplifying Entrepreneurship, I'm trying to make it easier for myself. And in doing that, if I can make it easier for everybody else, that's a win. I've had a lot of problems over the years, like not everything has been rosy. I've been in business 30 years. We've had bad years, and my goal with all of my clients is that I can help them through some of these things even quicker, right?
Yeah.
So yes, they are going to have bad years. Yes, they're going to have people are going to leave. You're going to lose a manager, the world isn't going to cave in. You can get over those things. You're going to have a bad cash flow month. You're going to there are different things that will be shot at you as the business leader and as the retailer there. Things, some of your main brands might not deliver on time, whatever the case is, but how do we get through them is the bigger piece.
Yeah.
Right. How do I get through this and take it through so that I can continue on and have a better life later? And if it happens again, how do I get through it even quicker?
Yeah, absolutely. Someone reminded me of that Nelson Mandela quote today. What is it? I don't lose, I either win or I learn, right?
That's it.
How do I learn from that situation, right?
Hey, Joanne, I think we've done a lot of learning, right?
Yeah. So
I think you and I probably both share this. We don't want other people to have to go through as much learning as us.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Like, let's
If
show
you
them the
made one
shortcut.
less mistake
Yeah.
then you're doing okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, these frameworks are shortcuts. It's like,
Yeah.
if I can think of things in a framework that's going to shortcut any sort of decision making, I mean, the latest thing I read the other day was there's 35,000 decisions that we make in a given day.
Oof.
Right? 35,000. I mean, we're talking small decisions, but some of them are bigger. And
Right.
if you're spending all of your time making small decisions in your business, instead of aligning and assigning accountability, that last piece, the CPA, then you're using up all your decision-making juices on decisions that could be made by other people in your organization.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. So true. So can you share a little bit more in depth on the CPA?
Yeah, sure. So each piece, well, it all starts with proper communication, right? As the leader of your business, when you started your business, if you started it, you were probably the only one. And the communication was where? It was all in your own head. And for those of you that are watching on video, you can see I've already kind of pulled out most of my hair. I'm basically bald. And, but all of these things, when they live in our head, they aren't transferable, right? And so we have to align the process in order to transfer it out and communicate it out, right? So step one in communication, if you're a solopreneur, is, running your store 7 days a week, doing what you're going to need to do, is to start getting some of those process pieces out onto paper or out onto, I love tools like Loom to, that have video, and you can have the video, you can have the audio, you can have the description, use ChatGPT to actually write some policy for you and just tweak it out, right? So some of those things, because you get frustrated with, oh my gosh, it's overwhelming to write a policy manual. Well, it isn't anymore. There are tools that can help you through that. And it will be more overwhelming for you if you have to do them all the time, even when somebody's standing beside you saying, well, I don't have a process, and I don't know what to do. I can't help you. They want to help you.
Yeah.
Right. So the communication side of it is how are you going to communicate within your business? So most people, and this is very interesting, I'm a Colby certified coach too, and you start thinking about how people make decisions and thinking about what they need in order to, roll through the decisions that you're asking to make as part of your team. There's a lot of people that need a lot of information before they can make a decision. There's some people that just need the executive summary. That's me. Like, just give me the bits and pieces, I'm good, and other people are like, no, I need like everything. You got to give me everything, right? And then there's the systems pieces. Who needs the full system? Who doesn't need this full system? And then, like, how are we setting this all up in communication, and how are we talking and dictating what we need done, what the best case scenario of what we need done and what the worst case scenario of what we need done is part of the communication structure. And as your business grows, because that's like hiring your first person, but as your business grows, and as like in my case now, I only work about, give or take, a day or week, maybe a day a week in our stores. And my communication process is very different from that. Because I don't create most of the process now. The people who are assigned and aligned in those accountability spots, whether it's marketing or operations of the store or finance, and human resources, they create the processes now. So the communication at my level with a couple of different stores really revolves around dashboards and different things like that, as opposed to detail. I've moved up from detail to dashboard in communication, right? And I think that's an interesting step too. And when do you move up from detail to dashboard? That's only when you can start making sure your process is good and assigning the accountability.
Yeah.
And I think, there's so much here. There's so much, Joanne, that you can go through. But communication, as you grow and as your team grows, your job as a leader is to communicate what you need done and what the expectations are of your brand, right? And how you're living your promise. I've used the word promise, but for those that I feel promise is different than vision and mission. So we all kind of Here's our vision. Here's our mission. Our vision, sort of that great big 25-year picture or 10-year picture. The mission is more sort of in my frameworks, more sort of 1 to 3 years. It's like, this is what we need to get done in the next 1 to 3 years. It's our marching orders. But our purpose is that idea of what the purpose for us at Shootopia is to help our customers look great and feel fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's outwardly facing. It's not inwardly. It's not what we are doing in order to get to our goals and stuff like that. It's what we're doing for our clients.
Yeah.
And so if we're making all of our communication around that, how are we helping our clients through that every day? And that's from the leadership perspective. It's like, what can I do? What can I bring in? What's the newest brand that's going to help my customer look great and feel fantastic? What's our process of checking them out? Is it quick enough? Is it good? Like, what's our process of returning? And is it nice and easy so that our customer looks great and feel fantastic? Because they're not going to feel fantastic. And I'll give this example because I think most people here are going to recognize it. If Jane Doe came in with a pair of shoes to Shootopia to return a pair of shoes. And she came in and said, you know what? My husband was in the other day, bought a pair of size 8, and I actually wear a 9. Can I flip this out? And my person who she went up to see basically said, you know what? Just a minute. I'm going to go get the assistant manager. Okay. And now the lady's going, well, I just want to change sizes. Right. Yeah. And she's off to go get the assistant manager. The manager comes in. She's, a size change. I'm going to have to go get the general manager. Okay. So and the customer's standing there going, what is going on here? Right. And then the general manager comes and says, you know what? Yeah. The owner isn't here today. And ultimately it's the owner that actually can rubber stamp this. So he'll be in on Monday, and right now it's Thursday, let's say. And it's like, okay, now the customer's bewildered, holding her size 8, needing a size 9, and going, what is this? Yeah. Because the process isn't delegated to the lowest level, like we talked about, the decision-making, bringing it down to the lowest level you possibly can by having the process right, which basically makes it streamlined, easy, comfortable, all of those things. And that's just an example that happens all the time in retail. Yeah. Why can't somebody at a lower level make the decision? Because the owner, for example, is feeling that they need to be involved. Right. Why do they need to be involved? The customer doesn't really care if you're involved. The customer just wants a size 9. Like, just make that happen for me. That's why I came here. Yeah, definitely. So, all of the processes, and because people can have built out so many processes that it's hard to deal with. Mm-hmm. But I've got an acronym for the word process, and it's a process should prevent recurring overwhelm, and it should clarify, evaluate, simplify, and systematize whatever it is we're talking about. Mm-hmm. So you want to prevent recurring overwhelm. So think about the shoe return, right? I want to clarify, evaluate, simplify, and systematize. Make it as easy, make it a nice little compact system so that when that person comes in, size 8 for a size 9, no problem. I'll take care of that for you, Mrs. Jones. Here's your size 9. Let's do it. Let's do it on the till. Let's flip out. Right. Easy. Yeah. That's what customers want, right? Yeah. And the last A, we've had the communication, we've had the process, and we have the accountability. The last A is that person is now accountable for that return at the lowest possible level. Yeah. And what does that do for you as the owner? It frees you up every time. Yeah. Do you need to open the door every day? Do you need to close the door every day? Do you need to count the till? Really? Do you really need to count the till? Come on, right. I don't trust my staff. Well, is it that you don't actually trust your staff, or is it you don't trust the process? Yeah. Yeah. Or is it that there's not a process in place, right? Right. Yeah. And, I find a lot of times people say, well, I don't trust them to get it done. Well, why don't you? Because if you didn't really trust them, why are they working with you in the first place? Yeah. Yeah. If it's a true trust issue, but people use trust in kind of a weird way, in a weird sort of use of the word there, because if they really didn't trust them, why are they working with you? Because pretty much everybody has integrity as part of their guiding principles. It's like, okay, well, if you don't have integrity, why are they there?
Right. Right. Yeah.
So the reality of it is you probably haven't got your process nailed down enough that you don't actually trust the process in order for them to complete the task.
Yeah.
Goes back to process. So anytime you're having those issues around accountability, you got to go back to process, so that you're clarifying process. And then when it's getting done systematically, then you say, okay, Tim, you can own this now. Just give me the dashboard, right? Yeah. Just give me the dashboard. I'll look at it once. I'll talk to me if you need me on the sort of outlying areas, but outside of that, it's yours.
Yeah. We just had a couple of employees that we've had forever leave us. They were just moving on in life, and so we're excited for them, but we just hired for the first time in a long time. And I'm like going back to the drawing board, like, man, like what process, like, how did these things even get done? Because they were getting done, and it's like, now I'm going back and remembering, okay, these were the processes that we went through that just became so, they just happened every week. It was great. We had these systems. And so, yeah, I'm kind of back in that phase of like designing, what were the processes and systems that were happening so naturally. So, I guess my question for you is like, what tips do you have for like implementing these processes or communication and the accountability? Yeah. What's the best way to kind of dip your toe into this process?
There's a ton. I mean, the first thing, like literally, if you really don't have any processes in place, like written or video or audio or any way of actually somebody else doing what you do, the first step is to take the easiest thing. Like, what does it mean when we open the store? We come in the door, we click the security system, we turn on the lights, we turn on the music, we wash the bathroom, we vacuum the floor, and by the way, here's how we wash a bathroom. Sometimes that needs to be detailed. Here's how we vacuum a floor. Vacuum means like we vacuum the whole floor, not just the front, or maybe it means just the front. I don't know. But like, you have to be detailed in your process, because this is how we open the store at our store, right? And how do we answer the phone sometimes? Like, these are little processes. We answer the phone, hey, or do we answer the phone, whatever for your store, like, hey, it's good afternoon, Shootopia. How may I help you? Or whatever you want it to be. Right. Because they're your processes, but understand that each of these, if you have 6 people and 6 people open the door in a different way, and somebody doesn't vacuum, and somebody doesn't clean the bathroom, and somebody doesn't turn on the radio, and somebody doesn't cash the till in right every day, and there's supposed to be $200 in the till, and there's $240 in the till, and nobody knows until at night because the first cash wasn't done. Yeah. So there are so many processes. How do people send in their hours for the week? Like, is it done on a digital platform? Are they handing you a time card? Like, how does that happen so that every week, if you have an internal bookkeeper, you're giving it out, or you're using, an HR company to do your payroll, that it's simple? Because if you're going to look for the hours every week from the 3 staff that didn't implement them or didn't send them in on Monday when you have to get your payroll in, that doesn't work. How much time are you going to waste trying to find the hours from those 3 people because they didn't follow the process? Well, the real issue is you didn't have a process. Right. So, where do you start with this stuff? You start with the low-hanging fruit. How do we open the store? How do we count the till? How do we do like these things? How do we receive whatever it is you receive? In our case, shoes. How do we receive a box of shoes? How do we price them? Where do they go? Right? How do we run a person through on the point of sale system? Right. How do we get the report that we need in order to refill our stock? Like, all of those things need to be documented, because, like Joanne, you just said, we lost a couple of employees. When the next person comes in, and if that person's doing your stock reorders, or if that person's doing your payroll or whatever, it doesn't matter. Somebody needs to do it. Yeah. And if you have to go back to the drawing board and recreate that, That's a pain.
Yeah,
Right?
sure is.
It's a pain. So, I mean,
Yeah.
if you have the process there, at least you've got the belly of it, and maybe you've got 80% of it, and you might have to tweak 20, but you don't have to make the whole 100% again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's the important piece with process. And it has to live somewhere that everybody can access it.
Yeah.
One of my coaches along the way, his name is Ari Meisel, and I still work with him. Great, really interesting process guy, but he uses the term have an external brain. So the external brain for your business is the hub where everything lives, and everybody who needs has access to whatever they need in order to get what they need when they need it.
Yeah. Right.
They can make decisions without you.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Because what happens is they say, oh, Joanne will know.
Yeah.
Let's go ask Joanne. No, let's go ask Joanne. Oh,
yes.
Let's go ask Joanne.
Yeah. I feel like I'm the
gosh.
business search engine most of the time, right?
Right. And the reality of it is if you weren't there, if there are processes, they'd probably find it without you.
Yeah, absolutely. I know they would.
Yeah. So my
Business
question
does not burn down when I'm not there, but
I know, right?
even if I
So
think it is.
my sort of philosophy around that is when somebody comes to you and you already know they know the answer, you basically say, what would you do if I wasn't here today? Don't answer them. Answer them with that question.
Yeah.
What would you do if I wasn't here today? And they'll say, well, I probably would have gone to the external brain and gone to this file and got the process that I need and followed it. And then I'm like, yeah, that's exactly right. Without giving them the answer.
Yeah.
Don't say, oh, well, you'll find in the external brain when you go over to our G Drive or whatever it is you use, we use Google Drive, and you go into the human resources file, you'll find how to do payroll there.
Mm-hmm.
You want them to say that. And your job as their leader in communication, the C part, is to say, you absolutely nailed that. That's exactly what you do.
Yeah.
Not tell them how to do it. You told them that they're right. And if they say, oh, I would go to the external drive and then I go to operations and I can't find it in operations, that's your coaching moment. You say, well, it's not in operations, it's in human resources.
Yeah. I like that.
So, and I'm not saying go into human resources, go down to payroll, and then at payroll, there it is. I'm saying, oh, it's not in operations, in human resources. Again, you're helping them make the decision for next time it happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your team actually wants to make them for you.
Yeah. They feel empowered.
As much as you may not think they do, if you've got the right team in place, they actually want to make the decisions for you.
Right. Right.
You got to let them.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Love it. Are there any other tools that you recommend? I think you mentioned Google Drive, like anything else that helps manage these processes?
I mean, from a retail perspective at our stores, we use Shopify. So, we have all kinds of sort of Shopify related apps that come in but that's sort of specific to our business. The stuff that I think is more generic is, yes, I love Google for a variety of different things. I'm not a big Microsoft fan for some of that. I think for a lot of small business, Google has it nailed. And you can, Google Calendar, you can share your calendars, which a lot of people don't do. Share your calendars. Let everybody know what's going on. That's part of communication. We use Trello as far as project management, it's a Trello board, it's a Kanban board. Again, we can share through proper communication where everything's at. And so our marketing campaigns, our finance stuff, it's all in a Trello board, and we can see it moving across from to do, doing, and done. Like, where is it sitting? Yeah. So that it's clear for everybody, right? Yeah. So I love Google Drive. I love Trello. I mean, tools, I love ChatGPT. I use it all the time. Yeah. I use Loom video every day. I use Loom. I probably sent 3 or 4 Looms today. So if you don't know what Loom is, LOOM, and it's, I think, free for up to a certain amount. But from that perspective, you can literally, we use Loom for a lot of our training. So you share your screen and you have a little bubble there that's you basically, and you're talking through, if I'm going to talk somebody through how to receive a a pair of shoes, then I could pull up Shopify, pull up the receiving area, and actually go through that on screen and talk them through that as part of my process piece, communication piece. And then once they have that, it's in the external brain where it lives, and they can just access it when I'm not around.
Right.
And that's when we've, with the accountability piece, I've got this other sort of framework called the 4 A's of accountability. And it's, you need to address it, assess it, align it, and assign it. So we need to address what we need to do. And in that case, we would say, okay, well, I need to actually do a Loom video on how to receive a pair of shoes. Assess it. Well, I'm looking at the checklist we have now, like we talked about a little bit earlier, Joanne. It's 80% good, but I probably need to change 1 or 2 little things before I do the video.
Yeah.
I need to align it, which means where does this fit on our accountability chart? It fits under, it's going to be under the person who looks after all the purchasing, and anybody who's going to do it is going to go through him before they go to me. In our case, Brock looks after all that. So if you have anything to do with product, you got to go to Brock before you come to me, right? And then we're going to assign it, right? You can now be assigned to do purchase orders under Brock in our accountability chart because you have what you need, and go ahead. You've been trained, right?
I like it. Yes.
So assess it, address it, align it, assign it.
Yes. Yeah. I know so many of the people that we work with that are likely listening are, 1, 2, 3 person shows. But I think
Totally
that having these from the beginning can really help you grow. Like, I think, my brain has just been turning, thinking about these things like, man, if I would have put this together, when it was just Kyle and I, now that, maybe we have 6 people, this would have been so much easier. So I think it's so valuable to start looking at these things that we've been talking about and going ahead and creating these processes, even if it's just, 1, 2 person process today. How can you go ahead and get it on paper, like you said, to start growing? Yeah.
It's interesting, Joanne, because let's reel it back to the beginning of our conversation, which was you got into business to have certain freedoms, right? And you got into business because you thought that being in business would give you a better lifestyle. So most of the time people get into retail not to work 70 hours a week in their retail store and open, 10 hours a day for 7 days a week. They get, so the idea is that you're going to have to get somebody else anyway.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I use some examples with solopreneurs off the bat, because a lot of people start their retail store as a solopreneur, and I get that. And I understand it. I coached one this morning, and she's got 4 people now. She's got a design company, and she does blinds and windows and all sorts of different stuff. And she's doing really well, but she's frustrated. She's working too much. She's like, she doesn't have her processes. Her processes are here, even though she's been doing it for 10 years.
Yes.
And she's a great retailer, and she offers awesome service. And I'm like, we can get this out into a process piece that you can share with other people, and they can do it too.
Yes.
So that you can have Saturdays off occasionally, or so that you don't have to work every night until 9 o'clock. And you can have supper with your kids,
Yes. Yes. I know so many business owners that when they talk about like going on vacation, it's like the world is about to end and they're not going to be able to enjoy 1 minute. And I feel so, I'm like, no, that's not how life is supposed to be. Right. No,
it's not. And some of the things we talked about today, the things we talk about today they're kind of big, but take it back down to the smallest things. Like I said, what's the process for opening the store? If you don't have to open the store every day and you can at least give that to somebody else, then you can stay home and have a coffee with your significant other.
Gosh,
what a win that is.
Yes, that's huge.
We don't need to hand the keys over and leave for 3 months day one.
Right.
Maybe day one is just get somebody else to open for me Saturday morning. I'll come in at lunch, whatever, And so we're looking for these small wins along the way. And when you start doing this kind of stuff and you start setting up the communication, you start setting up the process, you start setting up the accountability, it gets contagious.
Right.
It's like, ooh, this really worked well. I the last 3 Saturdays I had coffee at home. I went in at 11 because I could.
Yes.
And it gets content. And then you start thinking, oh, well, what else could I do? What else can I do? Oh, maybe I'll get rid of payroll. Oh, maybe I'll get rid of ordering. Oh, maybe I'll get rid of hiring. Like, I don't hire people anymore. Haven't hired for years. So, I mean, I would hire my management team, but I'm fortunate my management team has been with me for the last six years is the youngest, and 8 years, between 6 and 8 years. So, I haven't had to hire personally to replace those people because they're doing a fantastic job. They like what they do, and they've, that's part of building a successful team. But, someday I expect one of them will probably leave for whatever reason, and I will have to jump back in that. But there's a process. We have a process.
Right.
Right. And their jobs are all outlined and detailed. And, we like, not that I want to jump back into purchasing, 10,000 shoes every season, but I could if I had to.
Yeah. I love it. Pete, this has been incredibly valuable. If our listeners want to learn more about you, they want to work with you, can you share a little bit about how they can work with you and where to find you?
Absolutely. I mean, the easiest thing to do is to go to simplifyingentrepreneurship.com. That's my website. I have a podcast called The Business Owner Breakthrough as well, which is just little sort of 10-minute clips. I used to do some interview stuff, but it's mostly just me talking about these different frameworks and stuff like that these days. So, you can, if you like sort of the stuff we've talked about today, you'll find a lot more of that on Business Owner Breakthrough. And if you want to work with me, just go to simplifyingentrepreneurship.com and you will find out, how to get a hold of me there. And my name's Pete Mohr. I hang out on LinkedIn. Mohr is the last spelling of my name. So yeah.
Love it. Thank you again, Pete, for your time. I think everybody's going to really enjoy this one.
Awesome. It's been an absolute pleasure, Joanne. Maybe we should do it again sometime.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in to the Receipt Paper Podcast, your go-to source of information for starting and growing a successful brick-and-mortar business. Subscribe to hear future episodes and share this content so that more people can access these valuable insights. If you're looking for more resources to help you with your brick-and-mortar business, visit masterbrickandmortar.com or follow us on Instagram at masterbrickandmortar. Thanks again for listening to the Receipt Paper Podcast. We'll see you in the next episode.